As the sound of the playgrounds faded, the despair set in. Very odd what happens in a world without children's voices. I was there at the end.
Now you're going to be there at the beginning.
Yeah. I'll be there at the beginning.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spit and Polish Presents Pictures Powwow. I am one of your hosts, Ryan Swinski.
And I'm Bartek.
Bartek, what are you so giddy about?
I don't know, we just before we did the Hello Listening People, we talked about Jim Broadbent, and for some reason I can't stop smiling.
Jim Broadbent does give you a smiling reaction. We did watch a British movie this episode that did not feature Jim Broadbent.
That's
Are we in the
true.
real world? I don't think so.
No, it must be fake.
Cancel this show right now.
Well, it wasn't directed by a Brit, was it?
No, so that answers that then.
But he's directed British films.
So we're spit and Polish, likingly because we're spitting, and we both happen to be Polish, hence we're in the top 10 Polish podcasts, motherfucker!
Yeah, Polish people don't really like British people, but Jim Broadbent, man.
I mean, they like going to Britain and stealing their jobs.
They have a habit of going to Britain.
I mean, they like doing it a lot.
Maybe.
Maybe? I don't know. You'll have to ask your Polish relatives who go to England all the time
Well,
and
they
just steal jobs.
Well, they lived in Australia for a while, so that was a bit different.
That's like England.
Yeah.
We have similar accents.
We have the Onion Jack on our flag.
So, we're doing a show, Pictures Powwow,
Mhm.
obviously. Our
Yes.
weekly show, where we talk about a movie that's come recommended. I kind of hinted we're doing a movie that at least involves British people,
Yes, but not the director.
but not the director or Julianne Moore. She's the only American in the trivia, it says.
Mm-hmm.
Bartek, the film came recommended from the listening people, specifically from your friend Amanda,
Yeah.
who I've never met.
Yeah.
And I don't think she exists, because I've met
no.
your friends, and they're all, like, guys. And then
They're all
there's-
like guys.
They're all like guys. I can't speak about Malloy. He has very feminine hips.
Hmm.
But you have a friend, Amanda, who I don't think exists. I think it's an alias.
Hmm. Well, her last
I
name.
think
Her last name is not, so it's like not existence.
But it's not spelled with a K, so it's like
Yeah.
a noose.
well, but a double T.
Ooh, a naval noose.
This doesn't count as doxing, does it?
I didn't bring it up. You did.
I know.
So your friend Amanda suggested for us to do Children of Men.
Yes.
The 2006 film,
Mhm.
Children of Men, directed by everyone's favorite director, Alfonso Cuarón,
Caron.
who did Roma and Gravity and a few other little
Prisoner
films.
of Azkaban.
The one that made me want to stop watching the Harry Potter movies because it was so fucking yellow. What a
whenever-
great... And everyone's like, that's the best directed one. Bitch, it's piss yellow throughout the whole movie. I don't know why he did that.
I don't know.
Can someone explain to me why he made the whole film fucking piss-tinged yellow
been
instead
saying-
of, like, nice colors?
You've been saying this for years. Whenever I look at like screenshots from it, I don't see the yellow.
Oh, yeah.
I even watched a scene from it last night just to make sure.
So you're doxing me now. Ryan's address is this, his birth date is this, and his pin.
He lives
number is-
across from Deakin University.
Maybe it's one of the other ones. I swear in my brain, I remember that film being yellow.
I always
Just
remember
a
it
tinge
being.
of yellow.
I always remember it being like kind of bluish tinted or like dark tinted.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Bartek, Children of Men, we're going to be talking about this in-depth, spoilers and all, so
Babies
that's
of
your
voice.
warning, that's my warning, that's
Yeah.
you, the listening people's warning.
It's my fault for not watching the film beforehand. Now I'm going to spoil it.
What's your relationship with this movie and your thoughts?
Before I watched it, I thought I had no history, and I haven't seen it, but when I was in university, and I've talked about this class a few times with you, one of the first classes I ever had with our friend Will, we did a class called, like, Narrative Criticism and Context, where, like, every week they picked a film, and then we talked about, like, something from it. And I think I only ever watched, like, 2 of the films from this class, but I remember they showed us the beginning of all the films. And I remember they showed us the beginning of this film, Children of Men, and I always thought to myself, like, oh, that's an interesting premise. I should check that out one day. But I always forgot the title. Like, I always had the title in my head, but I didn't remember what that film was. So when this film started with the scene of, like, you know, the news report talking about, like, the youngest person has died, I'm like, oh, this is that film. I'm sort of fulfilling, like, a
prophecy.
A prophecy.
You're
like
the chosen one, like Harry Potter.
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
Like Harry Potter. Like Harry Potter, Harry Potter, trans
Yeah.
women are women. Take that, JK. I took a real big stance,
He,
motherfucker.
he wasn't the chosen one in Prisoner of Azkaban though. He was just the boy who
Which
lived.
movie is it in the Harry Potter series where he makes a joke about, like, but I'm the chosen one, and then Hermione hits him over the head?
That was in the trailer for Half-Blood Prince. I remember.
But it
that.
wasn't in the movie?
No, it wasn't the film. But I remember because the trailer was first impression. I'm like, oh,
So, you've seen it now,
I've seen it now.
in its entirety.
Yeah.
Your only history with it is that film class. Have you not heard about it throughout the years? Because this is one of those movies where, to give a little bit of my history, I've seen it before, but throughout all the years, this has always been brought up as, oh, Children of Men. I mean, that film. Like, it has a gravitas, a weight to it.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience?
Maybe just in like the vaguest terms, like what you just said, like, oh, Children of Men, that's a film, but like not anything specific about it.
That film.
So, like,
it has the one-take shots in it a lot.
Yeah, so when I started watching, I'm like, oh, this is the film big enough that I was talked about in that one class where I watched Rumblefish and Ryan's favorite film.
Which is?
Dare I say it?
Yes.
Moulin Rouge.
Fucking Moulin Rouge sucks so much. I had to study it in high school, so I'm glad it got to transfer over to university. But what were your thoughts on it on your first watch?
I liked it. I'm not crazy about it, but I had a decent time with it. I thought it was very interesting.
Why aren't you crazy about it?
Because I'm sane.
But seriously, what about this movie is holding you back from love? You just seem kind of like, I liked it.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I'm hoping that through doing this episode, I can learn more about myself. But
We're always hoping that. Always hoping more stories about Bartek. Like that time we all learned that Bartek's dad has so many toilets, and you thought, hey, that's normal.
it's not that I thought it was normal, but it's just something I hadn't thought too much about. Maybe because I had like the logic of who uses each toilet, and I don't know. But I did think that the fact that one of them had a urinal was weird.
It wasn't a sink, it was a urinal, just to make sure.
Yeah, it wasn't a bidet.
My history with this film is I have seen it probably 3 times now. I did not see it when it came out. I saw it a little while after. This is, like I said, a film with a bit of a weight behind it, but when I watched it, I didn't know about this, this great esteem for it. This has a pretty high rating. When people talk about it, there's a very serious, and Children of Men. I mean, like it's like it feels like when it's brought up in the same kind of earnest seriousness of, oh God, Goodfellas. When people just say the title and there's just like that, that it's good because just the inflection.
It teaches us so much about real life or something like that.
Yeah, just the way that people even say the title, it just goes like, oh well, we know that it's a good film because they just said the title, like, oh boy, that film, what a great film. I have always been meh on the film.
I
don't like
it.
it. I don't hate it. It's fine. I have no strong opinions. I'm the neutral people from Futurama. My gut feeling says maybe. Tell my wife I said hello. This film is fine. I enjoy it enough. The acting's great. The cinematography is wonderful, although sometimes a little bit too shaky in scenes I don't think needs it, but overall, pretty great. The desaturation of color actually matches. I've often complained on the podcast before and off the podcast about how I'm so tired of so many properties having this really drained sense of color, or these murky browns and yellows and blues and whatnot. That's why I don't like the DC films, for instance,
or Prisoner of Azkaban.
And there's this desaturation to things that shouldn't be, but this, it works. I like it. It appropriately is used, and when colors like that woman's red coat, it makes them stand out. It's really well done. The color of the movie, or the lack thereof, is actually beneficial. I've complained about that before, but this is one where I praise it for that, because it amplifies and gives more nuance to the oppressive world and the tone of the movie. Although the movie has jokes in it, which was weird to me. There was just so many moments where they would just have like random jokes, and it was like sometimes with Michael Caine, say it was there for levity's sake, but then there would just be moments where they just chuck in a gag, and I'm like, are we still in Children of Men? It was very weird. Like Clive Owen's character, every now and then would be like a smartass. But for the most part, I thought of him not that way. But every now and then he would chuck in a smart-ass quip, and I was like, what? But overall, the film has always left me, just And the other times I've never watched it in the term that we're watching it, which is an analytical way. I've been watching it just as I'm watching a film. The first time I watched it, there was no baggage of, oh, this great film, Children of Men, and...
Yeah, you're not like, well, this has to impress me.
This has to impress me, or I've got expectations. I'm just like, oh, this seems like an interesting film. I like my sci-fi. This is a sci-fi world, after all. Mm-hmm. And upon this watch, I've pinpointed some issues that make me feel meh or feel like I don't like the film. I still think at the end of the day, even upon this watching, I would rate this like a 5 out of 10. Because I just feel so middle about it. Like, there's nothing that really wows me. There's nothing that really offends me either, though. It's just kind of here to be a film, and I know that's sacrilege to many people. They're like, how dare you? You defend Big Fat Liar over Children of Men? Yeah, because no one else is defending Big Fat Liar, but everyone's praising Children of Men. I've rarely met a person who doesn't like Children of Men.
You're the biggest hater.
I guess so. Here I am. Have you seen the filmmaker's other works?
I've only seen this, Gravity, and Prisoner of Azkaban. And I didn't even know he directed those two films until I finished watching this.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I've seen this, Gravity, Prisoner of Azkaban, Roma. He's a good filmmaker, man. Like, I don't always enjoy his films. Like, I've only liked Roma, evidently. That's, like, the only one that I felt, like, compelled by. Yeah, that's a film I never want... That's a film that I will be fine never watching again. There are some
one
films...
and done.
One and done. Like, I got my experience maybe one day if it's just on, but I'm never going to seek out Roma again. It was one that I was happy I saw, but I'm never going to seek it out. Maybe if it comes to me, but... I guess by that logic, I'm not a fan of his work, because, like, 3 of the films I either don't like or I feel meh on. This is when I feel meh on. The Prince of Azkaban, I just don't know. I just never did it for me as a kid. And maybe as an adult it would do it for me, but there's that baggage. And Gravity, I think, from a technical point, it's good, but... I mean, Sandra Bullock goes, woof, woof, in the movie, and that was amazing.
I've seen that film, but I don't remember too much about it other than it's mostly a one-woman show.
You don't remember woof, woof?
No, I really don't.
Wow, you need to watch it again, buddy. Evidently. In IMAX. You could see the ruff ruff on IMAX.
Maybe for me, Alfonso Cuarón is a not one and done, just rewatch everything.
You know what my favorite part about Alfonso's work is? Is when I'm forgetting that actor's name off the top of my head. The one from No Country for Old Men, the guy who plays Anton Chigurh. When he announced, like... I
haven't seen it, but was it Javier Bardem?
Javier Bardem. When he announced at the Oscars that Roma won. That's my favorite thing, because he goes full, like...
Oh, yeah, doesn't he like the... Roma!
It's almost as good as Sam Jackson announcing that Spike Lee won for, like, Best of Day. He's like, and he, like, bites his fist like
That's
a
funny,
cartoon.
What I was going to say was when I think of Alfonso Cuarón, I think of when he won Best Director and, what's his name, Guillermo del Toro was like, oh, this name I can say.
Yeah, that's very funny. What about the film worked for you?
I mean, this is probably the most common opinion, but I really like the last one-take shot. The long one.
It's really interesting, yeah, because most of the time when I think of Children of Men, the one-take shot that gets brought up a lot, or broken down a lot weirdly, is the car one, which is, like, the least interesting one. The one where Julianne Moore dies.
It was good. I wouldn't call it boring, but definitely not as good as the last one.
Least interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the out of the one takers. It's like the less, but that's the first one. It builds up. Like because there's like 3. Right?
Yeah, I'm forgetting the other one.
The one where she gives birth.
Oh, of course, yes.
And they're walking through, and they're on the bus or whatever. That one's good, but like they each building up. Yeah, the last one. What about it was very effective for you?
Well, for one thing, yeah, the length of it was like 7.5 minutes, so that was impressive. And just just thinking about how much work went into it, and the part at the end, and I don't remember if this was actually after a cut or something.
Well, he was
but
building up the one takes for Birdman, which I also have seen. I'm pretty sure he did Birdman. Did he do Birdman, or am I thinking of
I
another
don't think
director?
he did, because I looked at his filmography and I would have noticed.
Is that
if he did
another?
Bird-
That's another. That's the guy who did Revenant. Sorry, people, I
Yeah.
got my one take directors mixed up. Soz.
Yeah. Well,
Soz,
there was a
Soz.
whole.
Did he do Rope by Alfred Hitchcock?
There was a thing mentioning that, like, he, up until I think Children of Men, he was like practicing one takes.
So
yeah.
the length of it, the way the camera kind of fluidly moves throughout the confined. I think that's
Yeah.
what I think it picked up for me more when it was once he was in the building. The confined space, the logistics of all that was to me far more interesting than like when he's out in the streets and he's kind of ducking and dodging and that, which is still impressive. But I thought once they got into the complex and there's like bigger stakes because there's bullets coming through, like all the bullets are definitely
lot more
going there.
actors in a confined space, yeah. And
Antagonists in there that actually want to hurt him.
Yeah, a lot of story development too. And I don't remember if this was after a cut or not, but like when he's going down with the girl and the baby and like everyone's just like cease firing.
Yeah.
And just the baby crying, and like I felt like that was like the poignant moment of the film.
It was
for me.
definitely the Jesus moment of the movie.
Yeah.
It felt very, I mean, although there was the moment where she revealed the baby earlier to, I'm forgetting his name, the evil man who said his name. Sid.
Yeah.
And they looked like the three wise men standing over Mary, especially Sid with his little...
Right.
A lot of Jesus imagery in this movie. It was there. I liked also in that one take shot at the end. I liked that is she a Russian lady?
Oh, she's Romanian, but she's got a Slavic name for some reason.
Okay, I got a little confused because we hang out with I think her parents, right? And they have like pictures of Lenin and shit in their room.
Oh, is that when she's like, I'm gonna call her Bazooka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were her parents or not. I'm just projecting that. She goes to these old people who have like lots of Soviet stuff, and I was like, Russians, right? But when she disappears halfway through, and then at the end when they come back, and she's still in that spot, and then she's like, hey, and I'm like, oh, good, because I kind of forgot about what happened to her.
Yeah, I remembered she was in that spot, and then we didn't see her again. But yeah, she just remained
stayed
in the
there,
exact same spot we last saw her.
And then was lucky that he came back, and she was like, come on through, buddy.
He's like, hey, I was in this shot, and I'm still in it.
It does also a good job of showing us that he clearly got shot in the stomach by the bad guy without also being so obvious about it. So that at the end, when the blood's there and like that, we the audience have kind of forgotten enough that he had gotten shot. Because in another movie, especially in one take, it would have been such a bigger deal than it was. But it wasn't the key focus of that scene. Although it is the big piece of information from that one take scene is he gets shot, which eventually leads to his death.
Yeah, part of me thought that it was from, I think, just before the one shot where he stepped on a thing after they killed Sid. Because, like, he made a big deal of, like, he was walking and...
Oh, that was his foot. No, he got shot in the stomach by...
by...
Aldous... Was it Aldous Hodge? I can't remember the actor's name, if it's that guy. But the black guy. The guy who's like, we need him!
Wasn't that... What's his name? Ejiofor?
Oh, is it Ejiofor? Yeah, I can't remember that. I get
it was right. It was right before he said it's a girl, right? Like,
yeah,
we need him. It's a girl.
Yeah. He got shot, and then
it
was good though. The thing was because that whole scene was very nonchalant in what was happening. Like the dreadlock guy, the guy that we hate the most, just gets casually killed in the background, and that guy gets exploded once he leave. It's just very matter of fact, nonchalant. Like. There's all these people in the very come to Jesus moment where they're all like clawing at the baby and they're all like crying and worshipping basically.
Yeah.
And they're just all getting shot basically while they're walking through. So there's our two heroes with the baby walking through what is basically a meat shield because there's so many of them that are getting shot because they're all just standing there doing nothing while the military outside are still shooting through.
Yeah, and as they're going down, the villains even are just like, well, this is a big deal.
I enjoyed the matter-of-fact nature of the film throughout. Just very matter-of-fact. People just die. You just have to take it and move on. Like when Julianne Moore dies at the very beginning, it's shocking because they've established her. She's also a well-known actress. We all know Julianne Moore from something. Whether you do or not, Bartek, I'm not too sure, but we've all seen Julianne Moore at some point because she's in everything. And she's one of those actresses that even if you don't know if you've seen her before, you look at her and go, oh, well,
I'm sure I've seen her in something.
she's important. Because she just has that demeanor about her.
She's the only American in the film.
And then she dies, and he has a little cry about it, but you got to move on, dude.
Yeah.
Got to move on, and you just got to push through, and that's the movie. The movie begins with an explosion at a cafe he walked out of, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, just keep going on with the day, really.
Yeah, most of, if any, research I did about this film was afterwards and just pretty much on Wikipedia, and it was talking about, like, the themes and the sort of style that the film was shot in. And, reading those stuff are what make me say that this is a film that I'd want to rewatch one day. Because one of the points was that it was shot in, like, a documentary style. And I guess that's kind of what you're alluding to when you're saying that, like, things just happen.
Yeah,
so
it's very matter of fact.
It's something that I just was not considering at all when I was watching it. So I want to check it out again just to, like, actually see that purpose.
What did you think of Michael Caine?
Michael Caine?
And are you a fan of Michael Caine as an actor? I think we kind of touched upon this in The Dark Knight Rises, but what do you think of Michael Caine in this and as an actor?
I think whenever he turns up, like, I think, this is it's good that I'm seeing a bit more Michael Caine, but it's not like someone I'd immediately pick out as like, oh, whenever he's around, he's great. It's just like when I'm given him, I think I'm going to enjoy him.
So clearly you've never seen The Italian Job then?
I haven't.
Or Harry Brown.
No, but I've seen Goldmember. I mentioned that last week.
He was great. And what perfect casting, huh? Other than if they couldn't have, I mean, David Niven was already dead, but Michael Caine's a good choice too. Like, I could see a David Niven playing his Austin Powers, like, dad or grandfather or whatever, but, like, Michael Caine. But I like Michael Caine when he tries. And he felt like he was trying in this one. He was being fun, but he wasn't being cartoonish and over the top. He could have been a really grating character. He could have been a really cartoonish, gurning...
He was a cartoonist.
But he felt dialed back enough. He didn't feel like he detracted. When he was doing jokes and the pull my finger and all of that, it didn't feel like it was tonally dissonant like it was when Clive Owen would make random gags through the drama. When Michael Caine did it, I was like, okay, they've set him up and he's playing it in enough of a cartoony manner, but also enough of a human manner that I buy it. I just go, yes. Michael Caine frustrates me because he's a charming guy. He's a great actor, but he phones it in a lot. He phones in his performances a lot. He just does, I'm Michael Caine, and that's enough. I'm 50-50 on how I feel about him as Alfred in those Dark Knight movies we talked about, and I'm 50-50 on him in Christopher Nolan movies in general. Like, I love The Prestige, but I still don't know how I feel about Michael Caine's performance in it, because he's doing a very Michael Caine, like, it's The Prestige, but then I love him in stuff like The Italian Job, and at his height, and even Austin Powers, because just the beauty of that casting alone, and he's playing it up to a T, But in this movie, I felt like he did a great job. It was a surprise to see him because I forgot it was him. When he first appeared, like when you got that shot of him walking, I was like, oh, it's John Hurt. But then I was like, oh, wait, no, it's Michael Caine.
Yeah, it
Sorry.
took me a moment to be like, is that Michael Caine or not? I was like, oh, it is.
And then you saw his little beady eyes, and you're like, oh, yes, it's Michael Caine. Those little eyes. He has these little eyes. I don't know. He has these little buggy eyes. I don't know. They're beady. That's what I like him, though. I like Caine. He seems like a fun dude. But he was a pleasure to see. What did you think about the performances overall in the film? Because this has a lot of people coming and going in the film. We're primarily following one guy. How did you feel about all that?
Yeah, with Clive Owen, I was... I guess I was trying to see like who he was the whole way through. And then in the end, when I thought back on him throughout it, he really was just a kind of everyman in a tricky situation. Like at the beginning, he stood out a lot because, I mean, literally the first time we see him, everyone is, crying over news footage and he's just buying something in the store.
And leaving, yeah.
And leaving, and it almost feels like, is he in this world? He's almost like the audience surrogate in a way of, like, he doesn't have the full context almost.
But then we know throughout the movie why he's like that.
Yeah, we do. So I felt like he was a really good character for the audience to follow along because his sort of apathy at the beginning kind of mirrors us trying to understand the setting. I felt like he played a main character very well.
Yeah, Clive Owen's not a performer that I often associate great work with. I'm not saying he's terrible, but I always think of him as just like, and Clive Owen was there too, like not like, oh, and Clive Owen, whoa, he just is a guy that I can't even think of any of the movies of his that I've seen, but I know I have, but I just think of him as just like, oh yeah, and Clive Owen's there too, like just that older British man, like that middle-aged British man who's just kind of there, being a bit gruff, maybe a little cheeky sometimes, but he never leaves a overwhelming impression enough in my brain. But in this, I found him very, very affable, very engaging. He plays to a T a guy who's disillusioned, but secretly underneath all of that, he still cares. And that's the key. That's the key. That's what makes these characters great. That's what made Humphrey Bogart great in Casablanca. A guy who's disillusioned about everything, but underneath it all, he's still a good person. He still cares. He's still a person who's willing to do the right thing when no one else is going to. Clive Owen does that in this movie very well.
When we find out that, like, Julianne Moore told, what was her name, Key, that, he's the one person you should trust. Like, at first it was kind of like, really? But then as the film went on, it's like, oh yeah, she was totally right.
Yes. He's just he's a good man who's been disillusioned by multiple factors. It's not just that his kid died. His mum, whatever happened with her, and just the general world and the oppressive nature and the fact that, look at Julianne Moore. She kept fighting and she's like a renegade terrorist who's blowing buildings up. Oh, we don't do that anymore, though. But they did do it.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you be disillusioned at that? At that as well. Like, not only did their kid die, but every day you're watching a news thing about, like, how your former, I guess, wife or partner at least, and mother of your child is, like, blowing up people. Wouldn't you be disillusioned? Wouldn't you be like, oh, Jesus Christ.
That's a definition of a dystopia.
Yes, this is a dystopian world, and I'm not huge into dystopian world kind of narratives. I don't mind the Mad Max movies. I didn't mind this. This felt a good kind of dystopian. When I think of dystopian, I think of, that kind of bullshit like the Hunger Games and...
Yeah, pushing it to the extreme dystopia kind of thing.
But this does do that.
It does, yeah, but I guess the documentary style thing that he was doing kind of made it feel a bit more...
Yeah, the matter-of-fact nature. I just... what else did we want to talk about the positive aspects of this movie, Bartek?
I had one, but then we talked about Clive Owen for so long that it kind of slipped my mind. We talked about visuals, we talked about some performances.
But what about the themes?
Yeah, themes. I was literally just about to say that. So we have hope. Hope is a big one. We haven't even mentioned this yet. The big thing of this world is that infertility is an all-time huge 18-year pandemic at this point.
Oh, yes.
The youngest person has died and,
murdered,
and the population can only go down. And the hope that we find in this film is that there is one refugee. What do they call them again? Fuji.
Fuji 9. No, Fuji.
Mount Fuji, who is pregnant.
Yes.
But because this world, it's set in a dystopian Britain where they're the only functioning government, but they're a police state.
As they would be.
As they are.
I love the propaganda that's on in the background. Like, these all failed, but Britain keeps moving forward, keeps marching on.
When I read the trivia and it listed all the, cities, they didn't mention anything in Australia.
So we're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine. We just keep telling ourselves that.
So we were saying this world is a world in which hope does not exist, really, because why would you hope when we're going to die eventually, right? It's that condition that there's no children.
Yeah, and again, with what we were saying about Clive Owen, he seems kind of apathetic to it. And when he asks I think it was his cousin in the the art building, what keeps you going? And he just says, I don't think about it. It felt like that question of, what keeps you going is something we, the audience, would ask these characters. Like, you're living in a world where there is seemingly no hope. How do you keep going? And just one of them says, I don't think about it.
And then we see that there are people who are like the repenters. We get that, like, the everyone deals with these things or don't deal with these things in horrific of ways.
Oh,
let's
right, yeah,
say.
yeah, one of his old, like, girlfriends or something.
And we see the other group or whatever protesting in the street, like, because it was asked which one, so the Repentance, the one that, like, march and protest, and it's like, no, she was the one that flagellates themselves.
Yeah, self-flagellation.
Like, right. Yeah, like, it's a fucked up world where, and you get people like Michael Caine who are like, fuck it. I'm just gonna live out in the woods and get high. Like,
Strawberry cough, whatever it was.
the strawberry cough.
Yeah, but hope is symbolized in this film by the pregnant refugee lady who, because she's a refugee, is not going to be treated kindly by the British if she gets found.
And there's also that logic of even if she wasn't that, they would still most likely take the baby anyway and use it for whatever means necessary politically.
Yeah.
We don't even get much of an insight into the police state or how they would have done and dealt with it, because even Sid was just going to use it for his own financial gain. Like, he wasn't representative of the corrupt the corrupt police state. He was, by the fact that he was a policeman,
Yeah.
but he was representative of just the inner greed of man. And then you have, Julianne Moore's group who are going to use it for their own political means, and Clive Warren is like him and the former nurse,
the midwife.
the
yeah.
midwife are like the only good people.
Yeah, yeah.
Who are going to take it to the Human Project, who we don't even know exists really.
Yeah, so
because
it's
Julianne
another
Moore
aspect
was a
of hope.
mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another interesting thing. Like, it's basically universally agreed in this film that, like, the child is hope, but, like, how each faction's going to use that child as, like, a symbol of their hope is a
Weaponize
factor.
it, basically.
Yeah, but jumping back to what you said about how we don't really get a good idea of the police state people as individuals, like, a part of the thing that this is going back to the ending that we really liked, like, just when all the soldiers saw the baby and, like, everything just kind of stopped mattering for a few minutes and just, like, there's a baby. Thank God.
Yeah.
And, like, some of them were even doing, like, signs of crosses and stuff like that.
Did you get it? It was a very, very Jesus moment. Come on, Bartek.
Yeah.
Do
But
you get it?
even beyond the Jesus moment, it was just, like, taken literally, like, there's hope.
Yeah, I agree, and that isn't a criticism like about the police state. That all their stuff is going on in the background. They're the world, but I didn't get a great sense of what they would have done with the baby if they got it, because like the closest you get is Sid, and Sid's like, I'm gonna use it for my own means.
Yeah, they're probably gonna, like, research it or something.
He was just gonna sell it or do something crazy.
Oh, naughty Sid, naughty.
Sid was a fascist pig.
He was. Say that again.
Fascist pig.
Yeah, I think they said it 3 times in the film, so give us one
The
more.
rule of threes.
Yeah.
The rule of threes, Bartek. I also really enjoyed the sequence of events when Clive Owen thought that he was like, okay, they're going to take me back to London in the morning. It's going to be fun. And he's woken up at night, and you find out, like, the information about the dreadlock guy was the guy that killed Julianne Moore. And, like, him being like, all right, we're going to leave now. And then pushing the car down, and how fucking embarrassing that was. And I love also that the dreadlock guy's weakness was doors. Like, anytime, just open up the car door. That'll solve him.
yeah.
Like, it only happened twice, I do believe, but they solved him with that car door enough. And, I think just, it has a great atmosphere. I like the sci-fi world. I like the concept as well of, this dystopian world in which we've stopped being able to breed. Anything else you want to touch upon the positives? Because I think this is a great movie. Don't get me wrong. It just doesn't hit for me. There are just some movies, great films or highly regarded films that just don't hit for you or hit you as an individual. And this is just one of those. But Bartek, anything else before we kind of move on to the aspects that didn't work?
Yeah, I think we got it. Like, this is a film that has very impressive aspects to it. But there's a whole package that you have to, watch. It's a film. You watch the whole thing.
Yeah, as people who are kind of middling on it, like we enjoyed some aspects, but whatever, what do you think it is about this film that makes it so highly regarded?
Yeah, that's the big question. And
is it just the filmmaking? I think it could just be it's impressive filmmaking. The one takes, the the saturation of it, the cinematography for the most part, like I said, is pretty decent. Like some shots, I'm like, I could have used a little less shake there, but that's just a personal preference. And
Yeah, I remember the scene with his cousin at the dinner table. Unnecessary shaking.
Yeah. I was thinking the one with him and Julianne Moore talking, where he's like smoking, and she's like, "You still smoke, huh?"
Was that in the same shot where he gets bagged at the end?
Yeah.
And taken away?
That one's a little shaky for my taste, but there was at least an intensity there.
Yeah,
in the scene.
Is there a main moral message that we have to take away from this film? Or is it just that there is hope? Or maybe there's not hope?
Well, there's lots of messages to take away from the film. There's obviously all these religious messages that are throughout the film. I think just at the end of the day, it's about being, doing the right thing. Being there, doing the right thing, standing up, not being disillusioned by the oppressive atmosphere of the world around you, which in a time like this is very prevalent, as we live in an oppressive nightmare world.
Yeah, we're not infertile, but we're not allowed to touch much. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I get out of it, and I think that's a very interesting message, and I think the movie conveys that theme very well and those messages very well, and but yeah, I don't know what it is that people. I think it is just it's good filmmaking. It's very impressive. That's what people liked about Gravity as well. When people talk about Gravity being a great film, it's mainly about the filmmaking, not so much the story. At least this one's story and characters and world are far more interesting to me. What about the film didn't work for you?
So when I was researching it after the fact, I was reading that the film wanted you to sort of, I guess, take away from it what you feel. So, like, if you feel that the film ended hopeful, you would interpret that ending in a hopeful way. And if you feel that it was hopeless, you would take it in a hopeless way. And I
see that.
Yeah, and I also read messages about things about how...
Did Alfonso text you overnight to let you know?
Alfonso Caron, he texted me...
hey, baby Bartek, XOX. Here's a little thematic message I put in.
He had to XOXO because you're no touchy these days.
No touchy.
He mentioned that... what was it? When the credits begin, that's when the story really begins. And I guess the thing that kind of confused me about it, and maybe this is just because I'm a hopeful person, but when the credits began and you heard the sounds of children playing and we've established that children are like a message of hope.
They have the whole scene where the midwife's like, we live in a world without the voices of children, and it's like depressing.
Yeah, there you go. I kind of think can you interpret this in a hopeless way?
With that, I don't think so. I think that inclusion of that at the credits does give you that. If it wasn't there, I would say you could, because our main character fucking dies and we don't even know what the human project's real MO is. We're just told they're good and they're pretty much built up like they're a mythical creature.
Yes.
That nobody really knows, and there's that mysterious, hopeful place where things are great,
Yeah,
and we don't truly know that in a world in which we're shown things as very matter of fact. A world in which faith and hope has been crushed under the wheels of reality, and then throughout the whole thing, it's like, well, we're going to go to that hopeful place. It's always like in zombie movies or stuff where it's like, there's that one place that's free.
Yeah, that one camp.
And they've got the cure there and everyone's secure, and then they go there and it's a totalitarian, like it's a fascistic state, or like they're all dead, or they never existed and it was all false. But
I'm saying that the
inclusion
sound
kind of negates that.
The sound of children playing compromises your vision.
They should have just played the Spanish Fly music instead at the end of the credits.
Spanish Flea?
We'll play it now. Oh, they should have played the popcorn song and then it's the snowman.
Isn't Spanish Fly an aphrodisiac?
I hope so. Because this film made my dick go down hard. It was very... Okay, so that was a negative for you, that the ending kind of more forcefully implied it was a hopeful ending than the filmmakers and people may want you to believe.
At the time, I was fine with the ending, but when I read that that was the vision, I was like, well, isn't that compromised by what you did in the ending?
What doesn't work for me about this movie is it's as subtle as a brick to the face. It's very hammering you over the head with a lot of it, a lot of the dialogue. And this film has a lot of dialogue. There's lots of silence, but a lot of the dialogue is just telling you, this is how the world is, and this is where my character's ideology is, and hello, I'm Michael Caine, and although I'm out of focus in the background, I'm delivering important exposition about our main character's backstory.
In a very jovial tone, I think I remember it being.
And it was very, very much that. It was a little too much of beating you over the head, like, oh, sure, it's late at night, and this guy's he's riding a loud motorcycle into a quiet area. But sure, we're going to just shout out all the information about how we're evil traitors and that we're doing this, and
Which,
just
ironically,
hope that no one hears.
Ironically, one of the big things that I was reading that was that, like, Alfonso Cuarón is really against, like, too much exposition.
It felt too much to me, or it felt like a lot of it was just very obvious stuff, and
I guess, like, how do you convey stuff without exposition? Try not to make it seem like exposition, but I don't know.
It just felt like that to me. I don't know how you felt. To me, it felt, and even from the first time, I wouldn't call this a subtle movie. How do you feel about that?
No, I think you're right, especially since the example you brought up was jovial, tragic backstory explanation.
From Michael Caine. And Michael Caine's a motherfucker. He can deliver exposition like no one can, but it's still exposition. It's still just telling us. And I don't know, I find it cheesy all the time when you have that moment where a character's overhearing other characters telling a story halfway through and then they get all wounded about it or reflective or whatever. I hate it in Shrek. I hate it in this. This isn't a lie revealed moment like Shrek, but I still hate... I don't know, it always feels cheesy to me. It always feels a little bit like... Sometimes it can work. I'm not saying it's a 100% thing, but it felt cheesy to me. It felt stagey. There's just lots of times. The dreadlock guy had so many times to kill Clive Owen, and he just never does, and it annoyed me greatly.
What was the terrorist's reason for killing Julianne Moore again?
Because she was going to take it to the Human Project, the baby.
Right. She was
their leader, and she was the mirror. But if you kill her, then there's no way no one can get it to the Human Project because no one knows it exists outside of her. And then they can he can take control, and then use the baby to do his stuff.
Yeah.
And also, because shock, you didn't expect her to die, did you?
No, I didn't know. The ping pong thing made me completely convinced that she was going to leave.
The ping pong thing. And there was lots of stuff like that too, where that was cute or whatever, but there was a lot of, I trust you with my life. I'm not going to die. I'm here to survive, and we're going to be great. And, like, I'm the midwife, and I'm going to stick by you the whole time. And lots of... Okay, we know that fucking Clive Owen's going to be the only one with her by the end. You know? There's no doubt in your mind about that, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Also, I did not like the midwife. I do not like that character. I find her a little bit too... Like that scene where she's explaining the world to someone who's experienced the world before. Oh, it all happened, miscarriages started, and then blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Thea,
dude.
You're the audience surrogate.
It was confusing that late in the game they were explaining this to us, right?
What
I
scene
thought
was
I
that
already
again?
understood the world by then, but then she was explaining it when
At that, like, abandoned school or something?
and Key was...
that's way too late.
It felt like, well, I already know this.
Yeah, tell us that before there's a pregnant lady, maybe.
It was weird, right?
Yeah. Like, maybe I'm an idiot, but, like, when the reveal of, like... No, I'm definitely an idiot, but, When the reveal of, like, the pregnant lady, for some reason, my mind just, like, completely slipped out of the world of infertility until he said, like, you're pregnant. I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, that's the story.
Okay. For me, there's also lots of visual things. Like, visually, we get what they're saying. But when you think of it as a technical way, like, in the realistic way, it's goofy as shit. Like, okay, to show that she's pregnant, she's going to take off her top and put her hand over her breasts and stand in a very like Renaissance painting kind of fashion with these sheep beneath her because
After her breasts are already exposed.
but you know, and she's going to be like holding her hand under her belly to show you how big it is, and you've got the sheep there, or the cows underneath her, and she's already talked about how we use their tits or whatever, and here's some joke about like tits, and we get it from a visual standpoint, very ooh. But I'm just sitting there going, can't she just lift up her top and just show that, you know?
Yeah.
And then when she meets Michael Caine.
She was literally unbuttoning it from the top.
When she meets Michael Caine, he sees her, looks at her, and then she, like, tucks her hand underneath her belly to emphasize that she's pregnant. And I'm just like,
I better do my thing.
That's goofy shit that, like, I can understand the technical reasoning for it. Like, oh, we're showing her visually. Like, she's not just going to say, I'm pregnant, or, like, have Clive Owen exposition dump on Michael Caine, because we already know that. But it does make you... that was goofy, right?
No, I get completely what you're saying.
In a movie that's, like, earnest and serious, and it's, like, drab, and everyone's dying, and it's miserable, and there's sense of hopelessness... You have shit like that. I do, but then there's good cheesy stuff like Michael Caine's Zen music that he listens to, and it's like trap music or whatever the fuck that was. And it's also his alarm system when they're entering his base and all that. I love that. But there was just a little. It just wasn't subtle. I wouldn't, and I think that's a weakness to me because I think there's this. It's held up in such a high regard, and when you hold up movies in such a high regard, you're expecting like. I'm going to be expecting like this thoughtful, artistic, especially something like you hear the premise, Children of Men, you hear the premise, you go, oh, okay, and you see what the movie looks like.
Yeah, it's what I was holding on to for 8 years. And
then you get it like it's just in your face all the time. Like I understood the world, but then they just had to keep explaining it and explain his backstory again. And it's and that was what took me out. And I think that's what makes me indifferent is there's lots of great stuff here, but everything that's great, there's just some choices, not even terrible. There's nothing in here that I would say was truly awful. Like, I wouldn't slam it like we did The Dark Knight Rises, say, where that movie had some really bad technical choices as well as script choices that make you roll your eyes until you die. But this didn't have that, but there was just enough of those where you just go, okay, that was a little silly, or that was a little too overt, that it just makes me even out to... I feel indifferent about the movie. I'll never really want to go out of my way to watch this again, but I see why people praise this movie. I see why people like it. I see the acclaim that it has. It just doesn't have that for myself.
For me, I just want to, I think, one more watch just so I can, like, have all the things I've read about on my mind while watching it.
Anything else about the movie?
What was the name of that? This isn't about the film. What was the name of the Brad Pitt movie we did forever ago with, like, the war or something?
War Machine.
War Machine. Like, I think... I remember at the end of that film when they had that scene where, like, they were raiding a place and that felt really out of place.
Yeah.
Like, the one in this film where they had the long shot at the end was, like, a better version of that.
It was earned, and it made sense, and they had already set up the filmmaking style to earn that, where they already had all these one-take shots. We've already had all these shots and scenes of characters escaping or going into locations throughout the movie, unlike in War Machine, where it was like a comedy in a base, and then it randomly cut to, and now we're going to have the Full Metal Jacket scene for no reason.
A siege scene.
Yeah, we're going to have a siege scene for no reason, an insurgency scene for no reason, other than, well, I want to show off that I can do it.
Yes, when you want to praise a film, make fun of another film.
Oh, we've got to talk about the CGI baby in the room. How did you feel about that? That's a choice to make. How did you feel about it?
I couldn't tell if it was a stillbirth until the baby started crying.
I accepted it when, they pulled it out. I was like, okay, I understand why, but why is it a CGI baby after that initial scene? Why is it CGI for the rest of the movie? As much as I want to take this movie seriously, the CGI baby pulls me out, man. It's a little cartoon baby in her hand.
Well,
I could not take it seriously. I wasn't laughing, but I was just I was just going, oh, this is a movie. Not in the way that I should. Like, when I see the one-take shots, I'm like, ooh, this is impressive filmmaking. This is a movie. Like, I'm appreciating it. But when I'm sitting there, I'm going, Why did they make that choice there to make it a CG? Other than it's easier.
Well, see, you have to forgive it in a similar way to how War Machine had this film as like a precedent set. This film didn't have American Sniper as a precedent to set for how to do a baby.
Wasn't there one just a doll?
Yeah, and it was very obvious too because of the lighting.
I've never seen American Sniper.
I watched it on a flight, so I fell asleep halfway through and had to resume. But yeah.
But this film is about this film hinges on the baby, right? That film doesn't, right? Like that's just a part of it.
It's just a part of it, yeah.
But this film is like the whole third act. Second going to third act is about this baby, and it's a CG golem creature. Like
yeah, it was very dark.
It's a choice. It's a choice that they made, and it does not land for me. At first, I bought it. I was like, okay, I understand why they're doing a CGI baby because they're showing it come out of her. They're not going to get a newborn. But then I was like, okay, after that, in the the scene where you go to the next morning and all of that, and you have it wrapped up, then you can have a real baby. But they were like, no. We're going to have a CGI baby. And like you said, it was like you're like, oh, you thought it was a stillbirth.
Yeah, that was my first initial problem. Like, oh shit, is this good or bad? Oh, it's crying. Okay, it's good. That did take me out of the film. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was a odd choice, and I think that's it with Children of Men. I don't think I have anything else to say about it.
I guess the only problem is it was a child of a woman.
Well, in this version of the story, it's the women that are infertile and the men aren't. So, but in the book, it's the men that are infertile. And that's something I do want to talk about. The book's by P.D. James. I have a history of P.D. James.
Apparently he was in the film.
P.D. James?
In this film. I read a trivia point that he was apparently like an old woman or something.
I hope so.
In like a cafe scene earlier on.
So P.D. James
Yeah.
is an author that I had to study in high school.
Okay.
And they wrote a book called The Skull Beneath the Skin. It's a crime book, a mystery book, and it's like the last in the series of this detective or this investigator, like their version of, Miss Marple, whatever. And it is one of the most annoying, boring, and aggravating books I've ever read in my entire life. And since you are studying in high school, it was, this is a great piece of media, and you have to praise it. And I could not, and I would not, and I hate that book so much.
Ryan, tell us why the curtains are blue.
Tell me why Blade Runner is a flawless film with no imperfections, and then that's not a reason why they keep recutting it to make it better, because it's imperfect, and that's a part of what makes it good.
Ryan, why is Moulin Rouge your favorite?
What on earth, man? But we did study Chicken Run, so apples and oranges, really. When
Ryan,
it comes to
why is Chicken Run an awful film?
Mel Gibson. Bartek, would you recommend this film?
I would, yeah. I wouldn't say it's a film that... Well, I mean, other people might say this since it's so, praised. It's a film worth seeing because similar to AI last week, there are elements in this film that are really well done, and I think it's worth checking out for those elements.
I wouldn't say it's as much of a mess as AI or as ambitious as AI, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I would recommend it too. It's definitely one of those, you got to see it for yourself and make up your own opinion, because there's a whole strew of classic, iconic, well-praised movies that just, you go, I don't get it. Like American Hustle, I don't get it. I don't get why people like that movie.
I've seen it, I don't remember.
Exactly.
I was on a flight though again. So.
Jennifer Lawrence burns toast or something. That's about all I remember. She's like, "Oh, my kitchen's on fire." That's all I remember. But but I would recommend it. It's definitely worth seeing at some point, just because I don't know, maybe I would see it again, but I don't think so.
You've given it enough chances.
3 and done, baby. Bartek, next episode, it is a recommendation from yourself.
Yeah.
Have you got something prepared?
I do.
Have you got something? Is it ready? Is it foreign?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's from a country we haven't touched yet. Within a language we haven't touched yet. Who's ready for a Bosnian film?
I guess I am.
Are you?
I don't know. You have to tell me the film. If you're
the name of the film is Grbavica.
I don't know.
Spelled Grbavica.
Does that translate into anything?
It's a quarter, not a quarter as in like a fraction, but like a part of a city.
Okay.
Yeah, a quarter of Sarajevo, I think it is.
Okay.
It's a 2006 film, and it's one that I watched in a university class. It's like the one university film class that like you didn't do.
I gotta ask, dude. Is it easily accessible?
So it's on YouTube without subtitles.
Of course.
However, Ryan,
Is it zoomed in and we can't see if they're picking straws?
No. But if there's a reason why I brought a USB today, so
I could benefit.
so you don't have to worry.
The listening people can worry all they fucking want. Good luck, motherfuckers. Bartek chose a Bosnian movie.
I originally picked a Polish film, but I could not find it anywhere online, so I had to switch, and I was really pissed off.
Who would have guessed the Polish films are hard, huh? To find.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So, what's the film called again?
Grbavica.
I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, in various countries, I think in the US they call it Grbavica, Land of Our Dreams, and I think in England they call it Esma's Secret.
Shh, Esma's got a
Don't
secret.
tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. From 2006.
Yeah, 2006, just like Children of Men.
Ooh, is this film also set in that same universe, or is that just Bosnia?
Very real life.
All right, so listening people, make sure to check out that film. Good luck finding it. Bartek's made it hard for you. Good luck.
Find subtitles, download it off YouTube, put them together, bam, bam.
See, you got extra work, huh? Extra work. I give you simple shit, and Bartek's like, all right, guys, you got to do homework.
Hey, trust me, even though I have the rule of 1 week American, the other week foreign, the foreign has been kind of tough for me, but so I power through.
So, listening people, you can find us on the social medias of Facebook and Twitter, Spit and Polish Presents. We are always posting some stuff on there, questions, links to things, further thoughts, all that kind of good, gracious stuff. We also have an email, which you can email us with your suggestions for movies that we can cover on this show. I mean, you could also hit us up on the social medias for that as well, but we have an email in which you can email that, or your questions, thoughts, concerns, views, threats, sexual advances, I don't know, spitandpolished@gmail.com. We are on all the podcatchers. I think we're on the one you got this episode from right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say listen to, but they could download it and then they won't be listening through Spotify. But we are on Spotify and we're on all those, and you can rate, review us, share us around, boost up a street cred. We need to show the world that, yeah, they're right about that podcast.
Yes. We call ourselves Street and Polish.
Because we were born in the streets and we speak Polish, motherfucker.
Just like Kevin Smith and John Peters.
That's about it. Bartek, a pleasure as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to leave the listening people on any wise words of wisdom?
Dom is Polish for home.